Hi, my name is Tara Kachataroff, and I'm the host of Michigan Entrepreneur, where we feature businesses from startup to stellar. Today, I have as my special guest Duane Petrosky, who is the president of Gorman's Home Furnishings and Interior Design. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Well, I'm really excited to have you on the program today because everybody knows Gorman's, right? If you live in Detroit Metro, you know the name.
Yes, you do.
And I'm really excited to talk to you about what's been going on with Gorman's over the years and most recently, and we'll talk about trends in the home furnishings industry. But before we do that, why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself as president of Gorman's?
Right. Well, I actually grew up in the furniture industry. My father owned furniture stores in the Detroit area when I was growing up, and he used to take me to work with him, when I was 8 or 9 years old on Saturdays when, to give my mom a break and take some of us kids to work with him. So I really, it's in my blood. I've been in the industry forever. Once I graduated high school, I decided I thought I wanted to do something different, so I went to college and got a degree in restaurant management and worked in that for a while and decided that really wasn't where I wanted to be, and I wanted to get back into the furniture industry. But I really wanted to do it more from a design standpoint and than just selling furniture. My father's stores were furniture stores where people came and bought furniture and that was it, So I went back to school and got a degree in interior design and started out as a designer, and then for one thing led to another, and all of a sudden I started getting into management of design type stores and that kind of stuff, and that's where I am today.
So how did you get connected with Gorman's initially?
Initially, well, I had worked for another company in the area that is now out of business, and when they went out of business, I went to work for Gorman's, and I went to work for Gorman's as a designer, as a floor designer. And then after about 6 years of that, I was in the Novi store, and that was where I started as a designer. After about 6 years of that, I moved to Grand Rapids and managed the Grand Rapids operation that we had at the time. And so I lived there for 9 years and managed that. And,
I see.
And then in 2020, when that lease was up, Gorman's decided they were going to let that lease go, and because it was a completely different market, it was on the other side of the state, and it was just very difficult to kind of work in two different markets at the time.
So so buying trends are different in different.
Oh, they are. Well, they are, but it's also, East Side, it's funny because when I moved to Grand Rapids, I had never really been there, but I thought, okay, it's 2 hours away from Detroit. How different can it be? Well, it's very different. The west side of the state is very different than the east side of the state, yeah.
And you want to back up just a moment. Floor designer, is that where you're coordinating?
I worked in the store as a designer, right? And working with working with clients
to help them put together.
I was an interior designer in the store.
Oh, I see.
Working with clients.
Oh, wow.
So,
okay.
Yeah. And then I went to Grand Rapids and was a manager, and then when we decided to close that, then I came back to actually the Novi store as the manager, and worked there as the manager for a couple of years before becoming president.
I'm actually really fascinated with the whole interior design thing. I did not know they had interior designers in the store.
Oh yeah,
I did not know that.
Almost every one of our staff. Sales staff are designers, and most of them are degree designers. Most of them have years and years of experience in it. And honestly, that's really what sets us apart, is because
that's amazing. I did not know
all of our sales staff, if you will, they're designers, and they're degreed, they're experienced, and that's really what sets us apart, because people coming into us know that, they have confidence that they're working with someone who knows what they're doing
and how things go together,
and can help them come out, or can help them live out their vision of what they want their home to be. And do it right, and without people come in all the time and, I would like to do this, or I'd like to do that, and the designers are good enough to say, okay,
have you thought of this?
Have you thought of this? Or maybe this might be a better way to approach this, to give you the look and the feel and the style that you want it to be, and to really make it something special and something different than just walking in the store and picking out a sofa that's there and I like that sofa and okay, we'll do that sofa. Where
Wow.
they can customize it and help them pick out fabrics and work with flooring and work with draperies and do all of that stuff.
That's fabulous. I actually did not know, because I was thinking like it costs a lot of money actually to go get an interior designer, but you've got this.
Well, and that's one of the bonuses with us is that our design services are free. You know, we offer free. That's one of the things that we offer is free design services. So our designers, they're happy to come to your home and look at your home and see how you live and where you live and what you have and what you want to do and the spaces that they're working with, so that they can really come up with the best solutions for you.
That's amazing. That is absolutely amazing. That definitely sets you apart, because I mean, the only time I've been in a furniture store, you know, they're just a salesperson to handle the transaction.
Right.
Wow, very, very different. So, you know, why don't you tell me a little bit about some of the history of your history with Gorman's? I mean, you're president now, and I know you went up through the thing, but what have you seen through your history, and how has that helped you with your, you know, I mean, all these things fed into your career that you have today, but why don't you tell us a little bit about that journey and what it's been for you? I mean, I don't know if you ever saw yourself as president of Gorman's one day.
Well, I certainly didn't start out seeing myself as president one day. You know, I started as a designer, and I was, you know, happy as a clam. I loved to do that. That was my passion, and that's what I wanted to do. And then, you know, I started the previous president, Tom Lies. You know, a couple years into my time with Gorman's, he started kind of mentoring me and coaching me. And
is he the one that had you go out to the Grand Rapids?
Yes.
Okay, so that was part of your
right. And you know, would I be interested in taking on more responsibility at some point? And you know, so that was, and then you know, he would throw some things at me here and there, and you know, one day he walked into the store and said, you know, hey, can you come here? I want to talk to you. And I said, oh, this makes me nervous, because whenever you say that to me, you've got something coming. And he looked at me and said, oh, you have no idea. So we sat down and he said, so how would you feel about living in Grand Rapids? And I was like, well, I never really thought about it.
And each of these things like take you a little bit further from being the designer.
Absolutely.
So you had to make some internal shifts and
now
changes.
You know, the nice thing is that each one of the positions that I went from or went into from the designer, I still was allowed to work and be a designer, and still was allowed to have the design, do some of the design part of it. You know, it just switched from working with clients to working in the store and making sure that the store, you know, designing what was going on in the stores, and then it got into me going to market and starting to select the things that we were going to be showing and the things that were coming. And you know, so I still, throughout the whole process, I've always had the designer in me, and I've always still been able to do that. You know, and even today, I still get people call me that I did design work for them 15 years ago or 20 years ago, and now they want to do something else, and it's like, okay, I can't really do the whole project right now, but I'll be involved in it. You know, we'll get, you know, one of the other designers to do it, but I'll lead it and I'll help you with it, and they'll kind of do the legwork and we'll collaborate on it a little bit.
That's
so
pretty
I still,
special.
yeah, I still get a lot of chances to do the design part of things, which I always loved and I always will love, and that's just a passion.
And that's kind of special, because you know, sometimes when you move up in a company, you have to leave the old identity behind, and it's nice that you can kind of still integrate it in some way.
Absolutely.
And it's funny, they can still call you.
Yeah. Well, it's been interesting.
Now I'm working with the president of Gorman's.
There's a few people that, you know, I worked with 15 years ago. Well, that was before I went to Grand Rapids.
Right.
So they never even really knew I went to Grand Rapids. And then they call and they're like,
again.
Is that Duane guy still working there? And they're, well, yeah. So then they'll get to me and, you know, I don't know if you remember me, but we did something 15 years ago. And I was like, I absolutely remember you. You know, how are you doing? Well, I'd like to move on. It's like, okay, well, things are a little different now, and I'll still work with you, but it's a little different.
And then they notice, oh, you're the president.
Right, right.
So, you know, you were talking about how buying is, that people have different buying preferences on one part of the state than the other part. What do you see? What kinds of things do you see?
From one side of the state to the other side of the state?
Yeah.
The other side, the west side of the state is much more conservative. I mean, with styling and everything, it's just they're a little bit more conservative.
So more traditional kinds of
More
furniture?
traditional, more transitional. They don't go. I would say they don't go to either extreme. They don't get super traditional. They don't get super contemporary.
Okay.
They're a little bit more in the middle, where on the east side of the state, we see a lot more variety of people's styles.
I see. That's really interesting. Like I would not even think that, given, you know, it is, like you said, a couple hours away. But that's
Right.
fascinating.
Right,
I mean,
it is.
Cultures can be so different, even just regionally in
and
a
it
state.
truly is a whole different culture over there.
So the
living
store
and
is
everything.
buying typically. I mean, the store layout. I mean, everything's going to be a little bit different.
It was,
to
yeah, it was
reflect.
very different. And you know, it was interesting because when we first went over there, I went there about a year after that store opened. And when we first went over there, that store was kind of modeled after or designed after our stores here. Well, after the first year, they realized, okay,
This isn't working.
This isn't what they want here. You know, so we made some major changes to what the offerings were in that store to make it more in line with what that demographic and what that, you know, what that geographical area was really into and looking for and wanted.
That's actually, that's really interesting to me. How many stores do you have?
Right now we have 4. We have
Four
3. We have 2 stores. The Troy store and the Novi store are transitional stores. So we have styles from very traditional, softer traditional, more soft contemporary. Then we have our Southfield store, which is all contemporary. So that store kind of starts off at contemporary, where the Troy and the Novi store leave off, and get way more contemporary than that. And then we also have our clearance center in Farmington Hills.
Okay. You no longer have anything in the Grand Rapids area?
No, we don't.
Okay, so you're all
No.
in like Metro
Right.
Detroit now.
Yeah, they just, it was, you know, we were running really 2 different companies at the time, because that was completely separate. And as far as purchasing and delivery and everything, it was a lot. And they decided, with, you know, at the time the lease was coming up, and they decided, okay, you know what, let's just focus, let's let that one go, and we'll come back to the Detroit area and really focus on who we are here and be the best that we can be, and take all of the energy that it was taking to run the Grand Rapids store too, put all of that energy into Detroit and really be the best that we can be.
And then the store in Farmington is focusing on
The clearance center.
Clearance center.
So that store is basically, you know, discontinued items, things that are either discontinued by the manufacturer, or things that we've decided to discontinue to bring new product in, or...
And does that include the whole gamut of furniture, so from bedding and couches?
Yes.
Like,
Yep. There's
do you-
all rooms are there. I mean,
Okay.
living room, bedroom, dining room, occasional reclining, leather, everything. They've got some of everything there.
now, do you sell any lighting, like lighting fixtures, or do you sell flooring? What other
Okay,
things do
so
you sell?
yes,
besides
we do.
furniture? You
I mean, we do full service, so we do furniture, obviously.
Okay.
Then we also, you know, lamp picture accessories. We offer
okay.
that. Then we have sources that we work through for flooring. So if you want carpet, and you know, you want to redo your carpet, or you want to redo your laminate flooring, or whatever it is, we have sources that we work through for that. We have sources that we work through for window treatments, for blinds and window treatments. We have workrooms that we work with, so that we can do custom draperies and blinds and all of that stuff.
Are you serving like as the sort of like general contractor? Do you get this all coordinated? Like, can they do you as the, like, buy everything for
Yes,
you?
absolutely.
And then you coordinate
Yeah.
it all?
Yeah.
Wow, that's really nice.
Yeah. So,
It's really nice to have all that.
I mean, we try to be a
Yeah.
one-stop shop,
Yeah,
where you can, you know, you don't have to come to us for your furniture, and someone else for your flooring, and someone else for your window treatments. We can help you do the whole thing. And the beauty with that is, you're working with one person, or if there's a couple people working together, but you're working with one designer. So they're taking you through the entire process, and they're helping you with your vision. And the beauty of it is, and one of the things that we really stress and that really makes us different is, the designers, you're building a relationship with someone. They're really building a relationship with someone, and for them to let you into their home, they trust you.
This is the closest thing. I mean, your home is like...
It's like there are, I mean, when you think about it,
close to that.
There are very few other people that you do business with that you let into your home.
That's true.
I mean, try and think of someone else that you do business with that you let into your home. People, once you build a relationship with someone as a designer, they let you into their home. And and they're opening themselves up because you see how they live, you see who they are, you see you see
the crumbs on the counter.
Exactly, exactly. So it takes quite a relationship for people to allow you to do that, and that's one of the things that's different with us, is that we do focus on building relationships so that we can get to know you enough to really create what's best for you.
And it creates like a legacy, because their kids will,
and we get that all the time. My parents have bought their furniture for for years from here, and they told us that this is where we had to come. And
exactly. And they've probably been there with their parents on the visits and trying out all the chairs themselves.
Right.
So,
Right.
So now, I know we've all been through a lot since 2020, but how did Gorman's weather the 2020 situation? I mean, we had, first of all, nobody could shop for a while, and then supply chains were broken for years. I'm happy you're still in business, but how were those years? How did you weather those years? You were not president at the time.
No.
Tom Leas was.
Right.
And Bernie Moret was still in the background.
Right.
We interviewed him on the show. He was a wonderful guest. How did you get through those years?
We stayed focused. We stayed focused on who we are and what we were and what we had to do. And it was just a crazy time. It was just a crazy time, from the shutdown where everybody was locked in their homes and staring at their furniture that they've had for years.
I should have changed this couch out before.
Right, and then and then you add stimulus money on top of it, so people had extra money that they didn't have before, and then they couldn't spend money that they did have because they couldn't travel and go out to dinner and do all of the things that they used to spend money on. So after the shutdown, there was a huge push or increase in demand. The demand just skyrocketed, and then of course the supply chain, everything fell apart and broke in the supply chain. I
bet initially you sold out of every desk you had, because every surface, because people needed desks.
They did.
So
they
badly.
did. Now, one of the smart things that we did was, once the supply chain broke and we started to see how long it was going to take to get things, we did not sell off any things off the floor, because we knew we couldn't get it back either.
Right.
So all of a sudden, if we started selling
in the store,
we started selling everything off the floor just to get it delivered, we'd end up with an empty store.
Right.
So we were very adamant about nothing leaves the floor.
Right.
And we have
and
to
I'm sure people were saying, I'll give you $10,000 for this.
People were begging and pleading, but I need a desk, but I need a desk. I'm working from home now, but I need a desk. It's like, okay, I'm really sorry, but that one, we can't let that go, because we can't get it back either.
So you basically just emptied out your warehouses.
Right.
Until you had nothing left.
Right. And then, and then the supply chain, the lead times for furniture just
They were well
crazy.
Over a year.
They were, we were, when it was interesting, because, looking back at it, when people would first walk in and say, and we were teaching or training our staff and working with our staff, be upfront. Be upfront and be honest with people about what it's going to take and how long it's going to take for them to get something, because it's what it's going to be, and much better that they know now than after they've ordered it. And you didn't
really know, because
at the beginning we didn't.
Yeah.
At the beginning we did. What used to take 12 weeks, was now taking 16 weeks, and we were like, geez, that's taken a long time. And then all of a sudden, 16 weeks turned into 20 weeks. And it's okay, that's 6 months.
Right.
Well, then 6 months turned to 9 months, and then 9 months turned to a year, and then, and we were trying to be honest with people all along, and, but we could only be as honest as we knew today. So, well, you told us it was going to be 6 months, and now it's 12 months. And it's like, well, at the time, it was 6 months. And I'm really sorry, but more things have happened with the supply chain, and now it's longer, now it's longer. But by the time it got to that point, it wasn't just the furniture industry that was affected. It was everything.
Right.
I mean, from appliances to cars to clothing to food to everything was affected. So people started to understand it better. And, at the beginning when you told people, well, that's going to take 9 months for you to get that sofa, their first thought was, are you kidding me? It's going to take 9 months for me to get this sofa? And we would say, yes, it is. And then, another month or so later, people would walk in and we would say, okay, that's going to, it's likely going to take a year for you to get this sofa. And the responses changed to, yeah, we've heard that everywhere. We know. We've heard that.
Man, might as well stay in this queue, because switching queues never helps anybody.
No.
We all know that from the supermarket. So as things have, as we've kind of come out of that period of 2020, hence, and a lot of things have changed for people and how they think about things, and kids have moved home and more people are consolidated. What have you seen in terms of trends in buying furniture? What are some key things that you're seeing that are different than pre-2020?
People are not, I think, I don't know that there's any major changes in the trends of what they're buying, but people are more specific, and they're buying things for rooms in changing rooms or making rooms multifunctional and that kind of stuff.
And every room has a desk.
Right. It used to just be a den. Now it's a den/office, and that kind of stuff. Or it used to be a dining room. Now it's a dining room/office. That kind of thing. So I think people are being much more multifunctional in their spaces than they were before.
Are they? And people only have so much space, and there are. Smaller homes are being built nowadays. Is that affecting the way people are buying furniture? Smaller spaces, and people are now. I know 3 people personally who now live in motor homes.
Right.
That's their home now. They got rid of everything.
Right.
I never thought I would know 3 people that have done that. But that changes, buying behavior. It's a huge change in buying behavior.
Well, it does. People, you're making sure that the pieces that you're buying are going to be the perfect pieces and are going to function for whatever you need it to function for. There's not a lot of room for fluff and extra and that kind of stuff. So people are much more focused on making sure that what they're buying is going to function the way that they need it to.
Yeah. And did you sell more bunk beds as kids were moving back?
We did not. No, I don't know. I don't know if other stores did, but we did not really.
So many people had to come home. A lot of people thought their kids were going to be at college for the next 4 years.
Well, and there were a lot of okay, the lower level now turned into the kids' apartment, or the bonus room now turned into the kids' apartment, or mom and dad's apartment, or that kind of a thing. So, and again, it was just people becoming more multifunctional in their home and using every space of their home that they didn't necessarily do before.
And I bet the desk is now the focal point of every home. The desk and the place with my computer, please.
Right.
And I need a Zoom background that's decent.
Right.
So what about community involvement? How is Gorman's, how are they integrated into the various communities where they find themselves?
We're, well, number one, we've always been involved in community involvement and charities and things like that. We've always been worked closely with the ARC of Oakland County, and which works with developmentally and physically disabled people. And we're constantly, right now, we're looking at doing some other things and getting involved in some other charities and community involvements as well.
And do you do them do you kind of do them around where the stores are, or do you do it kind of Metro Detroit and throughout the region?
More Metro Detroit-ish. I mean, we want to, our stores are located in, Troy, Novi, and Southfield,
Three
and
cities.
Farmington Hills.
Yeah.
But our demographic and our client base is much wider than that. So, we have to try and find community involvements and charities that really encompass the whole area.
Right, right. And what about like on the horizon for Gorman's? I mean, everything's changing, new things coming up, and our whole world is changing. We have ChatGPT now. Like the whole world has changed.
It is.
What do you see on the horizon, either in the industry as a whole or for your business in particular, where the future will go with home furnishings and decor?
I think that home furnishings and decor will always be there. How we address it and how we deal with it and how we deal with the people coming to us certainly has changed. With the internet and going back to COVID changed the way that people shop and the way that people communicate and the way that
Were people showing you their homes on their phones?
Oh, yeah.
And taking you around their home, like, I really need something for this space.
Oh yeah. And but even just during COVID, what did we do? We sat home and we were on the computer and played on the computer and shopped on the computer and did all of that stuff. So people got used to that. So now people do that much more before they go out. Before COVID, if you wanted a new sofa, you went from store to store to store looking for the perfect sofa that you wanted. Well, now people do that online first.
Then they come and visit.
Then they come to us. So, as a result, the people that are coming to us are much more qualified when they walk in the door because
Right.
they've done their research and they know that we're the store they want to be at.
Right. Yeah, that's actually good. That's actually good for you. It's actually more efficient on your end,
and it
too.
really has been.
Yeah,
And
that's really
even
good.
the way that
Good point.
people communicate. Our website, we've got live chat on our website. So if you're
wow.
at home and on our website,
You have a designer there
you
talking.
can click on a little thing and they can ask a question or make an inquiry about something, and it immediately goes to one of our designers who can answer that question back. So we're there when you need us. We're there. We're where you need us when you need us.
Which is the best way to be.
Right.
All right. Well, I have loved this conversation and getting to know you.
Well, thank you. It's been a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, it's been great. And also just learning, I find this whole industry very fascinating, and I'm so glad.
It's a fun industry.
It is.
It's a great industry. It's a great thing to be in an industry where you make people's lives better and you make them happy.
And and with that, I want to just ask one last quick question of you: is if you could give advice to entrepreneurs besides telling them to buy a desk, what advice would you give them? Just one piece
I would
of
say
advice.
for me, the biggest thing is know who you are and who you want to be. Be passionate about who you are and who you want to be, and don't be afraid of change to make yourself who you are and who you want to be. Because what worked yesterday may not work today. And what works today may not work tomorrow.
Excellent advice. I want to thank you so much, Duane Petrosky, President of Gorman's Home Furnishings and Interior Design. Thank you so much for being a guest today.
Thank you.
If you'd like more information about our program, please visit us at MichiganEntrepreneurTV.com. Please join me again in the future when I interview another enterprising entrepreneur. Until then, wishing you the best of business.